Hello, it is I'm So Cutie, and today I'm bringing you a video on Amethyst Steel. I posted a video about Blurple becoming the best deck in format, and a lot of people were talking about how Amethyst Steel would be the deck to beat it, and it is the biggest contender for best deck in format. As much as I've tested it, and as much as I've played into it, especially with a variety of decks, the red steel, green purple, green steel, blue steel, Blurple, playing into it, I have seen the potential that the deck has, and so here we are breaking it down. Nice little shout out to my teammate Fox and Docs, Sam. This is probably his pet deck, and he'll probably be playing this. So yeah, let's get right into it. So the meta is shifting pretty aggressively. I do not see a lot of Amber Steel at the moment, or Dogs, or Sapphire Amber. So it is really important to understand where Amethyst Steel kind of abuses the meta. We're looking at higher end combo pieces. We're looking at the Genie. We're looking at Ally Scars. We're looking at Blurple. We're looking at Hades. We're looking at Powerline, right? We're looking at cards that need a lot of pieces to line up. And this is really important because Purple Steel is a deck that abuses the fact that there needs to be a lot of pieces, as it kind of just abuses individually powerful cards, right? So the meta is shifting to the higher end. Obviously, I expect this to balance out, and I do still expect aggro to, be a thing, obviously, but for now, it is looking like a higher end meta. Right away, this is one of the lists that I was testing, and I've played against a lot, which absolutely wrecks me half the time. Diablo Cusco, amazing 1 and 2s. The Yzma, Doc, and Cobra package is absolutely insane. The draw will always be there. Just really mid-range tempo, just challenging, questing for 2 big bodies. The deck is super solid, and this is a super staple deck that I've seen. This is the second list. Tinkerbell is actually really good in this deck, and it's not slow at all. This meta allows you to get this Tink out and hit things. The only reason why I do not like Tink as much is because the Magic Feather is needed to fully abuse certain matchups. I'd rather just not play it right and play other, high questers or challengers and whatever. I do have Benja because of the rise of Emerald Chromicon and Clarabelle. But again, this deck does still have a really good footing in the meta. Same thing at the bottom, right? The bell and things and such. It performed really well. I do get wrecked by lists like this a lot. It requires a lot of really good maneuvering and good resource management. But yeah, I mean, the deck is super solid. It's super consistent. Content creators, again, are just talking about it, spewing it out. It is a super good list. Whether you like Tink or you like this higher, this kind of more mid-rangey, techie feel to it with just smaller drops. But yeah, both decks are incredibly good. What could we see? I do believe that we could see Dumbo possibly teched. Only possible. The deck would have to change a little bit. I only put that out just because it is another draw engine that exists. Again, Tinkerbell in the mirror is really strong. Splashing that damage is really relevant. It really, really is. There's a lot of times where people will overextend and tap, and I'll be able to abuse a really small guy that didn't die from the Tink, and then splash it to the evasive that I couldn't hit before, right? So there's little math things that just the big Tink really does help with, and it's just a big body. And then Bagheera, when Green Purple became really popular due to artifacts, I had teched Bagheera. No, Bagheera wasn't a thing yet. I had teched the big Aerial, Sonic Warrior, and Pluto. Bodyguards with high demands are really good, and Pluto requires 2 characters to almost always hit it, especially with smaller powers like this. If the person does not have the Challenger, Yelena, or the Lilo, the likelihood is that Pluto is going to take 2 characters to kill, right? And obviously you'll only trade out with one and the other one would live, likely, but you're demanding 2 things to hit into one thing. You have now created a tempo loss on their side, right? It's a 2-for-1. That is not worth it most of the time unless they're splashing with Tink or Bell, right? And at that point, they were just maneuvering their resources correctly. But I do think bodyguards are going to become just a little bit more popular, because I do feel like bodyguards like Bagheera are just so good and underused. And Pluto as well. Pluto just trades out with Elsa, trades out with Tink. It trades out with everything. I don't understand why people don't play Pluto. I mean, I do understand, like, obviously I could just, like, crash the Cusco and stuff, but I think there's potential, right? And then if it lives, then there's also Bell. So, some of the great cards, Lilo with everything, it's just amazing. I was a little skeptical of this card, but it is just the new Cricky. It's super good. It is Cricky. Maybe the counts can go down just a little bit, but it performs really well. It can come out on curve, and it's super cheap. It's not a 5 cost, and you have multiple of them, and you know it's kind of just whatever. Like you put it down, and then it sings strength the next turn, and it's just really good. Yeah, so I really enjoy this card. Just really good for board wiping. And then some semi-lackluster. So Ilana only really works with like Diablo Cusco and then like Calhoun to clean stuff up. And I understand it, and it quests a lot. There was a lot of times where this card was really good in testing, right? So I'm not going to say it's bad. It is really good. It just has to be your crab now, right? I found it just a little underwhelming into like evasive, really heavy evasive packages and stuff. Like I would find it just kind of being a catalyst to sing, which I don't really like cards like that. So it was just a little lackluster, but it was really good, and there's not really anything else that I would put in the spot for it. And even if I were to cut it down, I'd still keep it at 2 because it is applicable to a lot of other matchups. So it's just only semi-lackluster. Again, Purple Steel just uses really good cards. So I'm kind of nitpicking here. So Iago, everybody's prepared for Iago, man. Like, if you play Iago on 4 on curve, and then it just gets taken by a 1 cost, 2 cost action, like, it is so not worth it. People are so ready for Iago. The only thing I can eat evasives is Iago. So, yeah, he was just underperforming. Obviously, there was a game or two where he kind of just ate up the whole board, and I couldn't really do anything, but I don't know. He's just too answered in this meta. And kind of expensive for curves on purple and stuff. I'd rather just set up an engine and stuff. So he was a little lackluster, unfortunately. Bell is a really good card, and will always be a really good card. But in steel, with really small bodies, besides like Lawrence Alcigini, it's a really high-end demand. And if you see it in your hand, your opening hand, it's probably ink, because like the combo piece to set it up is just really demanding. So it's just a little odd, right? Especially in steel. In Blurple, obviously, like I'd say this card is a 4 of, but it's just a little semi-lackluster. That's why I cut it down to 2 in a lot of the testing, and that's why the final list has 2. Yeah, there was definitely situations where like it was amazing and it came out, I was like, yes, let's go this card. But sometimes I was just like, yeah, I'm just trying to force something that doesn't work. It's a big body, quest for 2, so just semi-lackluster. Again, kind of nitpicking. Again, Purple Steel is just the deck that abuses powerful single cards, right? Insane cards. Yzma. I never thought too much of this card, obviously, before rotation, right? But it is very easy to get this off. It's crazy. Like, 3 defense, 2 questing, draws you 3. It's good. It's just good. It works. It's cheap. It's on curve. It's good. It's a good card. It's a staple draw engine. This meta, I feel like it's shot up 100% of its price. It's good. I have a playset. It's kind of like this or Dumbo, because you always kind of want to have Genie, right? So it's kind of this or Dumbo, in my opinion, and it's as good as Dumbo. It really is. Yeah, it's really good. Cobra lets you get the dock off. Cobra lets you get the Yzma off, and it gives you 2 lore while you're doing it. So it basically enables your engine to go live. It gives you 2 lore. It gives you an overstatted body because it's 4/4. So it's either going to drain it. Okay, first of all, it keeps your engine alive, right? It drains a resource for actions at fairly cheap cost, but you already technically quested with it. You quested with it, enabled an engine, and took a resource. If it's not answered, it is actually really hard to answer with bodies. So Cobra is really good, but he has to be looked a little differently because you're not exactly full aggroing. He's kind of just like a draw and discard kind of engine. Like when people play Yzma or Bobby to kind of filter out Churna dogs almost. So yeah, he is really complex in this meta, but also can be straightforward. Obviously, if you just need to turn on the Jets and this guy's playing green-blue, yeah, turn on the Jets, Giant Cobra finishes the game. So it's good. It's good. It is really good in this meta. But compared to Iago, obviously, Iago always eat the resource almost immediately. So that's why, and it doesn't get value from being played, and it doesn't filter your hand. So that's like the biggest difference between Cobra and Diablo having Vanish, which is a really big thing, right? That's why we see it at 4 and in a lot of lists. Maybe a little less, but usually always at 2, right? Great text. Magic Feather is really good. Even at 1, honestly, I played it for just a little bit. But then it wasn't consistent enough, so I put it at 2. But it just enables trades to happen, surprisingly, and it's recurable to the hand. That's why I say, like, 2 to find it, but you're really inking 1 and then playing 1 most of the time. But a really good tech. This is pretty explanatory, like, you are enabling something to challenge an evasive card. Typically in the Tinkerbell, obviously Tinkerbell, but mostly just like Calhoun, Lawrence to take trades when you're being completely responsive. But Purple Steel excels at demanding responses. So I actually added this. This is a mulligan curve on the play. Just kind of, very simple things that are going to replace itself. Could change to like a Calhoun, especially like in a mirror, maybe. But you have Diablo, Cusco, Lawrence, just super aggressive, self-replenishing into the strength, and then the Yzma or some sort of engine to keep yourself alive. It could be maybe the Doc and Genie. I don't like keeping uninkable engines, especially depending on what the other hand looks like. This is like a perfect scenario if you got to pick your cards, right? These are the 5 that I would pick on the play. If you stabilize this and they don't clear it, they can stand up, they can kill Calhoun, then quest, get trade out by hook, replace themselves in their hands. It's just really good. Right? Like Cusco Diablo is just a really good start on the play. It is just very, very good, especially for a mid-range deck like this. So on the draw, it's a little different. You have the Royal Guard Calhoun to basically answer any tanky bodies, and then Yelena to just kind of clean it up, and then post-turn just tanks strength. So this represents almost 4 things being killed. Likely does not kill the 1-drop, but together kill the 1-drop, so that's 1. Likely kills 2, and then sings for 3, and then clears something else, right? So it represents almost 4 guaranteed kills on board, which is just really good with these 4 cards. And then you just have an engine to stay alive, because you're devoting resources and ink to do it, and then you just need an engine kind of to be alive at the end, which is why a mid-range deck like Purple Steel is just incredibly good, because 4 cards control the game, and then you just snowball. And it is super good. So again, perfect world. Depending on the hand, this changes because of the uninkable counts and things. But again, this is kind of what you want to see. Doc is probably the most lackluster card in terms of draw engine. But again, you have 3, technically like 2.5 draw engines, which is just crazy. Amber Steel only had Rapunzel and Doc. This has Yzma, Genie, Doc. Super good. Super good. So these are the best builds, in my opinion, the 2 builds that I showed at the very beginning. I do believe that they are very good, both respectively. I think Tinkerbell has a little bit better chances into the mirror, and maybe into like a little bit more aggro boards, and then this other like mid-range one a little bit more focused on like that bottom end kind of like flooding kind of thing. Probably better into the high-end meta that we're seeing shifted. So both have a place, and both can probably perform in the current meta very well. So, thank you for joining me, breaking this down. I do believe that Purple Steel is a big contender for best deck in format. It is ultra consistent, just like Blurple. The thing is, at the very top, it just maneuvers a little differently, right? It has to maneuver correctly, and sometimes players just cannot do that. But again, it is super important to keep a lot of the stuff that I've kept, that I've talked about, and I hope that you pick up Purple Steel, because this deck is going to be good. This deck is going to be great. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.